All right, let me get you started with some help. Now, you all know Father Time is undefeated. Father Time has the ultimate dynasty. Father Time has never even played in a close game. Never trailed, never been even in any danger. Father Time will not lose. The undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of the history of the world and will never lose. Never in a close game. And I can't think of a better example of Father Time's dominance than the past 24 hours. Father Time just racked up 3 of his biggest dubs ever. 3 incredible all-time football coaches just had incredible all-time runs come to an end at essentially the exact same time. And we're talking about arguably the greatest pro football coach ever, arguably the greatest college coach ever, or a third guy who happens to be one of 3 men ever to win a Lombardi and a Natty. We're talking about 72-year-old Pete Carroll, then 72-year-old Nick Saban, and now this morning, the end of the reign in New England for 71-year-old Hoodman. It really is over. Chow half fam. It's over. Bill Belichick is done, at least in New England. Now, I don't think Hood will think that he's done until he chases down Don Shula. And I'll get into this with Tom Curran later on, but this was not the way it was supposed to end. Generally, things don't end the way they're supposed to end. Not for star athletes. I talk about it all the time. Guys, gals, they rarely get to go out on their own terms. Neither will the Hood. And it's fitting, isn't it? Given all the players that he ran off over the years, is it not fitting that Bob Kraft is going to run him off too? And I'm not piling on. And I'm not saying it to be obnoxious. It's just fitting. Like, I don't think Hood will think that he's done until he runs down Don Shula. We know that. But Bob Kraft clearly had seen enough to accept that that record is going to have to be set somewhere else. You know, Kraft wanted more than anything for him to get that record there. But he's a businessman. Business is not booming. He has seen enough. And now the Hoodman is gonzo. Question is, where does he end up? It seems like the inside or the front runner with the inside lane right now is the ATL, Atlanta. I could argue that Washington makes sense. I could argue that the Chargers, from the Hoodman standpoint, the Chargers absolutely make the most sense. That to me would be the best gig. Now, that doesn't mean that the Spanos family wants to chip him off, because I'm sure they don't. That doesn't mean the Spanos family wants to give him the power that I'm sure he wants, because they probably don't. But if you're just looking at it from a pure fit and a pure football standpoint, of course that's the best opportunity. They've got the quarterback. They've got the underachieving defense. That's the best spot for him to go. But it doesn't mean he'll end up there. It just means that he's not going to finish in New England. So wherever it is, the Hood is going to change the logo on that sleeveless hoodie next season. Apparently, Kraft and Belichick met multiple times this week, and apparently it was all amicable. And both parties, quote, took the high road, end of quote. Whatever the hell that means. If they both took the high road, why are they having separate pressers today and not answering questions? That road does not seem that high. But in the end, it's pretty clear that Bob Kraft got his way, which is probably for the best, because if the Hood tried to stay to win those last 15 games, it might take 15 more years. It was time. It was time. The team needs a talent overhaul. The team needs a new quarterback, and it never made sense to let Belichick stay and perform that rebuild or that overhaul or pick that quarterback. You know why they need that overhaul? Because of Hood. And he was never going to give up the power or his final say. You know that whole thing about how, I'd be willing to cede some power. I'd be willing to give that up. Yeah, doubt that. Doubt that. He hasn't had to answer to anybody for a quarter of a century. He was just going to start right now? There? Doubt that. It begs a very interesting question, though. Like, I wonder what the market is for the Hood. Now, he's not getting any younger. Things got really pretty stale and played in New England. And if he's going to insist on that kind of power and autonomy at that age, given what's gone down the last few years, I wonder what the market would be like for him. I could argue he's the GOAT, you hire him. But I could also argue that, you know what? He's not what he was. Still a great coach. But is he willing to only coach? We'll get into all of these things. But I want to say this. I do want to say this. Before we get into all of that, I do want to toss the mumbler some bleeping credit. The man won 17 division titles in 24 years. 17 division titles in 24 years. The Patriots franchise had won 4 division titles in their entire existence before this guy showed up and started chopping off his sleeves. Then he ran off 17 in 24 years. Meanwhile, no other coach in the history of the Shield has ever won their division more than 13 times. Hood took the Pats to the Super Bowl 9 times. 9 times. Wrap your head around that figure.
9 times.
9.
9 times.
And he won 6.
Times.
And get this, over his 24 seasons of leading the Pats, the other 31 franchises employed a combined 213 head coaches. Another mind-blowing stat. Look, we all know that Belichick was incredibly fortunate to have Tom Brady. And yes, he was 249 and 75 with bacon face. And then he was 84 and 103 without bacon face. Bacon face bounced and immediately got himself another strap. But it's not like those wins with bacon face don't count. You want to have your doubts about Hood's ability to win the NFL in his 70s without Brady, I think that's fine. That's fair. It is. It's reasonable. But it's also undeniable that with Brady, Hood was the single greatest football coach in NFL history. It's a crazy run, and it's a run that we're never going to see ever again. And the thing that's amazing to me, and I'll get to Nick Saban and Pete Carroll too, but the thing that's amazing to me about all three of them, starting with the Hood, is the guy's not done. He very clearly did not want out. He very clearly is not ready to mumble off into the sunset. And I don't think it's only about that record. I think what's going to happen with the Hood, I'm not saying it's going to work, but I think he's got a similar mindset to Bacon Face. Bacon Face busted out and clearly wanted to prove that he could win somewhere other than New England, and he did. I don't doubt for a second that Bill Belichick has got an extremely high level of motivation to prove that he can still win and do so outside New England. I don't think that he's only in it for that record. I mean, he wants the record, for sure. But I think he also wants to prove very badly that I'm relevant, I can still win, my system still works, and most of all, I want to show you all that I can win outside of New England. See, to me, that might be the most impressive thing about all these old guys. Pete Carroll, 72. Peter, 72. William, 71. They've had amazing careers, amazing longevity, yet they still want more. They're not looking to find a beach. They're not looking to find a golf course. Both of these dudes went into this week wanting more. Neither of these dudes came into this week thinking they were done. And they both might not be done. The rumors are already flying around about how the Hood is going to end up here or there or someplace else. As I mentioned, the Falcons seem like they have the inside track right now, and they're not the only ones. The Hood man is going to don a new hood. The question is, how long will it take him to get those 15 games, those 15 wins? Obviously, it depends on where he ends up. And then the next question, who will inherit the throne? Who's going to be the one to follow the GOAT? According to reports, the leader in that clubhouse is still Gerard Mayo. That's nothing new. We've heard this for a long time. Bob Kraft has been very deliberate with his succession plan and reportedly has been setting it up for a long, long time. Kraft's plan all along, reportedly, has been Mayo. But Kraft's plan all along probably never involved one pretty important factor, and that factor is Mike Vrabel. On the one hand, you might think to yourself, look, Kraft is not going to deviate. Kraft has been setting this up a certain way for a long, long time. The plan is already in place. The plan is in motion. You can make that argument. I don't know exactly what's going on there. If it were me, now that Vrabel is on the table, to me, that situation has changed completely, at least in my opinion. I understand that Kraft had a plan. I understand that Kraft wants to promote from within. I understand that Kraft wants to take care of a promising head coaching candidate who's already in the building and knows the Patriot way. I get all that. I respect all that. But you might want to tweak that approach. There's no way that Kraft expected Vrabel to be available. But now that he is, you got to give that guy serious consideration. You have to. Because Vrabel is a proven commodity. Vrabel has already done it. He's already done it on a high level. He's already done it on a high level without a great quarterback. Vrabel has even beaten the Patriots in New England in the playoffs, a.k.a. the game that ended Bacon Face in New England. And let's face it, it pretty much ended the hood in New England too. Not only has Gerard Mayo never been a head coach for a single game on any level, he's also a straight-up continuation of Hood's program. He's a Hood protege. He may be his own man, but so was everybody else who fell off that tree, that Hood tree. I'm not saying that he's not a solid coaching prospect. I think he is. But I'm going to say that the Hood man's coaching tree has not produced any decent fruit. And if the Pats are looking for a new way, it doesn't necessarily seem like they're going to get that with a guy who's already there. Now, Vrabel, on the other hand, to me, threads the needle in that he's an all-time Patriot. He's heavily influenced by Belichick. He is loved within the organization. He himself loves the organization and the community, but he left the family business. He went out on his own. He made his own way, and he killed it. He did great. He went outside of that rotting Hoodman coaching tree. So who would you pick, Half-Chowds? I'll put it out to you. I'm going to say it. Nothing against Mayo. I think the guy's a really bright guy and a really good coaching prospect. He just hasn't done it yet. I know what I'm getting in Vrabel. If Vrabel has an interest, you bring that guy in. That's the guy you hire, to me, because he's already done it and succeeded. But Patriot fans, I want to ask you, who do you want? What's your reaction to the news, and who do you want? Or is it neither of those two, and do you want somebody else? And one more thing. Outside of all that, I'm kind of curious. For the rest of you, who would you rather have right now as a head coach? And I'm not saying this for effect, and this is no hot take question. This is legit. At this point in time, who would you rather have? Belichick or Carroll? Not who's had a better career. Who would you rather have right now, in this moment? Belichick or Pete Carroll? A mumbler or a speed talker? A pretty miserable dude chasing a pretty incredible all-time record, or the most positive, upbeat dude ever, doing it for the love of the game and the love of pulverizing gum. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to be the first to know when we do upload a new video.